Hi, and thank you for joining us on another segment of New England Veterans Liberty House Veterans Serving Veterans. Today we have UPS as our guest here today, but before we get into introducing my guest, I want to thank everyone that participated in our first annual Veterans Fair / Career Expo. I found it to be extremely well put together. I want to thank all the volunteers. I want to thank all our sponsors, and my apologies that I just can't think of every single one's name, but it was a great turnout. It was a 2-day event. We had a total of 279 veterans that showed up to this annual fair and career expo, and we're hoping that we could do the same thing next year. And it's like they say, anything they say, you build it and they will come. And being that this was our first year, 279 veterans that showed up to this event, I'm extremely happy. So I'm very, very, very glad about that. So thank you very much. And I want to keep reminding you guys also that Tuesdays from 1 to 3, we have our food pantry. And Friday from 1 to 3, we have our food pantries as well at 599 Canal Street, 6 East, Suite 17. We are going to be distributing raw turkey meals this come Thanksgiving. So if you're interested, please make sure you go to our office and sign your name, talk to Charlotte or Barbara, and sign your name to make sure that we can put one aside for you. With that said, I want to introduce you to Mr. I should have worn my glasses, but Mr. Ruben Porras. And I'm sorry because I don't have my glasses, but he is the district security director for the Northeast district. And my apologies again. I should have brought my my regular reading glasses, but I didn't. So tell me a little bit about what exactly is the scope of your work, Ruben.
Well, I'm responsible for all the security for the whole Northeast, so that comes all the way from Connecticut all the way up to New York. So the 7 New England states.
So you have a pretty big area of operation.
We do. So there's about 66 operating facilities, so we're responsible for the security, the physical and internal and external security of UPS. So that's anything that deals with UPS, that deals with security, falls in my realm.
Logistics,
claims,
operations,
everything.
Claims,
right.
Packages.
That's me.
Guys not doing the right thing,
yeah.
Which I'm sure doesn't happen very often in UPS.
No, in the scope of things,
doesn't happen at all.
As big as a company we are, you'd be very surprised. Most of our employees are very good employees, so when something like that does happen, that's where I come into. But for the scope of things and how big we are, it's not as much as you would think.
Good. Which is a good thing. I mean, a good working force is always something really positive to have. And it's just like I said, it spreads like wildfire when something good happens, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a quick question. In your area, in your entire area, how many security officers you have that are veterans? Do you know that number?
Veterans, yes, I do. Actually, there is probably just in my group, and I have 30 security investigators, managers that work for me. I want to say it's about, I think we have 4. It is 4 veterans that we have, and that's including myself in that 4.
So there's these 30 veterans that you're referring to, or security officers that you're referring to. Are they the ones that work that whole district that you?
They work the entire district, yes.
Why just 4?
Well, and I guess I would think that a lot of things, and it's a veteran group too, but if you ask me my personal opinion,
please.
We were talking, I think that maybe a lot of veterans don't know the opportunities that we have at UPS. So One of the things I'm here to say is there's a lot of opportunities at UPS. Most everybody, they start off at the bottom. They start off either as unloading or loading trailers, or they're a package car driver, and then they grow within the company.
Can someone, I'm sorry to cut you off, can someone go and directly fill out an application out for security versus loading trucks, so they have to still go through that process?
They still have to go through the process, and it's probably in my recommendation, because I grew up that way, it's going to help you.
Well, you get to learn the business and the company a little more. You have a little bit more appreciation.
That's our bread and butter is right there is the operation. So basically, spending a little bit of time there is not going to hurt you.
No, it's not. I've done it.
Yeah, so you know it's actually a good thing for you to go in there, unload a trailer, deliver a route. You get a better appreciation of what the driver and what the hourly goes to. It's almost sort of like if you're in the military and you went through basic training. You remember your basic training, and I went to basic training 32 years ago, but I still remember basic training.
Oh, absolutely.
So you always go.
You're never gonna forget that, man.
You sit here and go, you know, it was bad when it happened, but it's great. It was a great experience. So same thing as being a driver.
Yeah.
You remember it, and you did it 20-some years ago. I was a driver 23 years ago. I still remember that. I can remember specifically the routes and houses and deliveries that I made, which you remember. So
me too.
I recommend that you do it.
Yeah, and I do too. I do too. I think again, going back is the appreciation you have once you get to that next level.
Absolutely.
I think that when I started again 20 years ago. I was proud to be a Brownie, and I don't know if that's the proper terminology you guys go nowadays, but we used to call each other Brownies back then. And I loaded, and after I loaded, I had one of the heaviest routes, but I got to experience a lot during that route. I have got to meet a lot of great people. And at the same token, was making a name for myself, because once you start getting around, once you start getting used to that route, once you start getting into places at a certain time where you're supposed to be there, you know you're doing something right, so you need to continue that path. And from that path, that led me to something else, and then you know what? I'm with you 110%. I think that you always start. It's like you don't come into the Marine Corps as a Lance Corporal or Corporal or Sergeant.
Absolutely.
You come in as a private, and you work your way up. You earn your stripes.
So it's kind of the same concept. So a lot of times the soldiers military transitions very well over to UPS, because they can understand that whole concept. And again, me personally, my personal thing is I relate a lot of the things that I've done at UPS, I relate them to the military when I was in the military. Again, basic training, chain of command, the levels of management. So those are the things right there. And again, I'm very proud that I did serve that time.
Good for you. Tell me a little bit about your service.
Went in 1984. I was 17 years old, 18 years old. I went in 1984.
Where did you enlist from?
I enlisted in Maryland. So I went into the Army. I decided to go to the Army. I know you're Marine.
So
I went into the Army.
We all wore the same color of uniform when we were in the battlefield.
So I decided that I needed to go into the Army for, number one is, I guess people ask me, why did I go into the Army? My uncle was a very big influence on me. So my family is a family of immigrants. So when they came here, my uncle, he was the first one to, I guess, as you say, going to college, going to military. He was the first one to go into the military.
Good for him.
So I always looked at that and said, you know what, I'm going to go into the Army.
Good more role model for you.
So he went, it was in the 60s when he went in, and I always told myself, I was like, somehow I got to figure this out. I'm going to go into the military. Family didn't have any money, so, I had
we come from a lower socioeconomic area.
So I was able to have the opportunity to go into the Army, basically served 6 years, went in as a supply specialist, 76 Victor. Was a 2-year, at the time it was a 2-year commitment, 4 years reserve. So it was only a 2-year commitment. And then I did a 4 years in the reserves, went to college right after that.
Good. Did you take advantage of the 9/11? Good for you.
No, I'm sorry, 9/11, what was that?
Not the 9/11, the GI Bill.
The GI Bill, I did have a GI Bill back then, and that was not the only reason, but that was a big reason that I was going after the GI Bill.
Well, one of the big reasons a lot of the young kids nowadays go to school is because of that.
And as you know, the GI
lack
Bill,
of work too.
The GI Bill is a lot different and a lot better today than it was years ago.
Yeah, many years ago.
So even then, it was a great opportunity for me to.
And there's sorry to cut you off too, Ruben. There's a couple of added options onto the already good services they have there, like the post 9/11 GI Bill. Plus, on top of that, they have something that's called Chapter 33, which is if you finish your post 9/11 GI Bill and you run out of money there, well, you still have that Chapter 33 that you might be able to continue your higher education. So yes, it is a lot different when you and I first went.
It's almost like you have no excuse but to get your college education. From what I understand from listening to it, again, I have a cousin of mine, her kid went in, my nephew is in the Marines right now, so, but that was the reason I went into there.
Must be a nice guy. We're going to talk about him. Yeah.
So, went in there, got the GI money, went to college, graduated from the University of Maryland, and got a degree in criminal justice. and at the time didn't know what I was going to do. And I said, you know, I was still thinking about
still young.
Well, it's funny because you talked about how you re-enlisted at the time back then. I was thinking
Yeah, I
about,
did.
should I re-enlist? You know, should I re-enlist in the Army? Because I got out in 1991
Here's the $1 million question: were you thinking of re-enlisting as an officer?
as an officer.
That's
Absolutely. So either way, things worked out for a reason. My wife today, who I met back then, was still in college, decided that I would take some time off because I graduated before her, so I would figure out what I was going to do. Met some people who worked at UPS and started driving at UPS. So I got hired as a driver. I drove for about 4.5 months, and then I got promoted into at the time it was the loss prevention department. Did that for 4 years as a loss prevention supervisor. Then I rotated with UPS, and again, as veterans,
Yep.
you know, you talk about you have an MOS and you can do other things in the military. UPS is the same way.
Same way.
Went
There's
into,
a lot of
went into
options.
loss prevention, rotated into operations, industrial engineering, air, preload, got promoted. I was a manager in 2004. Again, did some rotations as a manager, and then I rotated back into loss prevention. You're talking 15 years after I rotated out. So I rotated there 2010, and just recently, and again, I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, I was just transferred up here with my whole family
well,
7 months ago.
congratulations and welcome
Yep.
to Massachusetts.
Yep. So I actually live in the city of Boston. Very pleasantly surprised how nice everybody is up here. So again,
Just give it a little time.
so as I tell people, as veterans, and you know, and again, I guess we would have similar backgrounds. You come from a family of immigrants. The military is a great opportunity for you. It's it's a great stepping stone. And then again, UPS is the same company too, that you can come to UPS without a college degree, and you can grow with this company. We encourage people with college degrees.
Let me throw a curveball at you there because when I first started working with UPS, there wasn't really that mindset, really, to be very honest. Now there is. There's so much more opportunities, as you just mentioned. Back then, as I was coming in, and I was coming in as a brownie, it was like, okay, it's either you're going to do this or you're not going to do anything at all.
Right.
Now, I mean, UPS is, you know, a Fortune 500 company, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, they're huge. I mean, there's so many areas of operations. There's just not just your driving part. There's just not your scanning part. There's just not your operations part. There's just not your loss and prevention spots. There's international. There's global. There's
We have a
all
lot of them.
kinds of things that you could do that you could expand your horizons. And I've always told people, like myself in the military, I love. And until this day, I breathe military. And the only reason I'm out is because of my medical discharge. But if not, I would have been in the military. But that hasn't slowed me down because I say there's so many opportunities out here. You just got to find them. And then if you find them, look at them, and stick with them, and give it 110%, then it'd be the exact same way as it was in the military when you're trying to grab rank. Right?
Absolutely.
So if you're going into UPS and you find a spot that's comfortable in UPS, stick with it, become a subject matter expert on that, and move on to the next thing. Show somebody that you have those capabilities and those qualities that you can move on. I commend UPS nowadays, first of all, because there is from when I started to now, there is a lot of options, and a lot of the UPS drivers, and I have friends that work for UPS, speak very highly of the company.
You know, it's a very hard job. I'm not going to, I'd be sitting here lying to you if it wasn't.
Yeah, you'd be lying.
We demand a lot, but at the same time, it's a phenomenal company. I mean, it's put me in a position in my life that I never thought that I would be at because of the company. And again, you know, it's hard work. You come in here, you work hard, become subject matter expert at it, take control of your career.
Yep.
Ask questions. Hey, you want to go into the loss prevention department or security department and you're in operations? You got to ask. You got to do a great job where you're at and then move on and do a great job where you're at. But there's plenty of opportunities.
Let me ask you this: the application process from moving in with internally. is it the same process as it would if you were coming from the outside?
No,
exact same question.
It's a little bit different. I mean, we have a career development process there where basically you would fill out, it's something internally that we do where you would put in what your interests are. So you would list your top 3 interests and go, you know what, I'd like to go to human resources. I would like to go to industrial engineer. And my third choice is I would like to go into loss prevention. Now, a lot of things they'll ask you, it's also guides you now. When we become a lot more technical and we ask people, when I say you don't need a college degree, a lot of times you don't need a college degree. I'm a firm believer you should get your college degree because to get to that next level, you can get to the entry-level management position, but to get to that next level, you need that college degree.
I agree with you.
And you also need that to separate yourself. So you have that military, the college degree, the UPS work experience, you can move within the company.
And I'm going to tell you, and not because we're military men, and I thank you again for your service, if I haven't already done so.
You have quite a few times, I thank you also.
I have not, and not taken away from anyone else, but I don't know anybody that I've come across and all I've met that are one of the best logistic operators in this country. I think that veterans, we've always geared and taught to do things a certain way, do things by the numbers, and along the way, if you find an easier way, then take the initiative and get it done. Right? Get the initiative, get it done. But hiring veterans, I mean, there's tons of veterans in this country right now, Ruben, that are so underutilized that it breaks my heart. But a lot of them have families, so they'll take whatever they can because they have to feed their families, and that's understandable. I'm going to switch gear real quick because before I forget, and I have a hard time. I did suffer a TBI, and I tend to lose train of track from time to time, but they keep me on track. Your goal, and Susan was talking about it, that UPS has a goal of hiring 50,000 veterans by the year 2018. Man, you need to tell me in details what that's about.
Well,
please.
Again, as a corporation, our goal is to hire 50,000 veterans, and I think right now we're at about 21,000. That 50,000 is by 2018. Now, with that being said, is internally at UPS we have a veterans business resource group, where basically we would take people like myself, or people that were in the veterans, or that were veterans, that they would actually work with the community or volunteer in the community.
Good for you.
And basically, we're looking for veterans. So we're here as kind of like a mentorship that we would tell people like, hey, this is what you can do at the company. This is how you can grow with the company. It's a mentorship fellowship type of thing that we have here at UPS. So
yeah, you're not just
forgotten.
Up and forgotten.
Yeah, you're not just forgotten. And if you're forgotten, it's because you want to be forgotten and you don't want anybody to know who you are.
you need somebody to let you know you're out there.
So again, as I tell people, it's like, you're going to have people looking for you, but at the same time you have a responsibility.
Proactive.
Yeah, you have a responsibility to go find these people too.
Correct.
We're going to tell you we're here. We
Correct.
want to hire you. We want to bring you on at UPS. It's a great company to work for. A lot of benefits, great retirements. There's not a lot of companies that give retirement anymore.
No,
we have great retirements, great benefits, vacations. I can go down the list of things.
Well, let's not talk about tuition as well. So
right, and that's also another thing. So you're talking about the military GI Bill you got, and we offer tuition reimbursement. So there's a lot of things you can do at UPS, and when I tell people, it's a great company with all the things they have.
Let me ask, and I have to throw this out there because I don't know if you know, and I should have brought a brochure, and I think I did for you guys. Our New England Veterans Liberty House, our focus was to deal with judicial matters and deal amongst homelessness amongst veterans. That was my 2 objectives. I was in both situations when I got back from my last tour. So I didn't find the necessary help. I didn't need to be, say, involuntary incarcerated into the VA system. That's not what I needed. I needed something else. That was less, but that was there at my disposal when I needed it. That's something what I did. New England Veterans Liberty House became the buffer guy between your judicial system and the VA.
Right.
So do you guys have anything in UPS right now where you have maybe some veterans that might be going through some difficult times? Or in many cases, I know myself right now, individuals that are working, unfortunately not making enough to pay rent and still living in their cars. Did you guys run across veterans of that case? And I'm not too sure if you do. And if you do, what would be your course of action?
No, I personally haven't heard of anything like that.
Good.
Because the good thing about it is when you come to UPS, you're drawing a good salary to pay for your rent, and you can raise your family.
What's the hourly rate?
As a driver with top rate, it's about $32 to $33
As a
an hour.
brownie?
As a driver, yes. As you call it, as a brownie.
Brownie. And I'm
So
sorry if I'm
basically-
using that.
No,
the
you
wrong
can use it.
terminology.
Basically, we call them package car drivers. So,
Okay.
And if you look at it, if you're talking about $32, $33 an hour at 40 hours a week, that's $66,000 a year.
Good money.
With overtime and all that, you got drivers that are easily making $90,000
Good
to
money.
$100,000 a
Yeah.
year, full benefits for their families. So I have to say, I personally haven't encountered anything like that
Good.
where somebody's been
Well,
living
I don't
in a car.
think I don't think they have the
Yeah.
need. I don't think they have the need. But if they ever do, keep us in mind. If
Absolutely.
For any little thing that they need, we just don't help individuals that are making $100,000 a year. You know, we help those that are also less fortunate and
Absolutely.
whatnot. So whatever we could do on our end for UPS, maybe go up there and speak to your veterans. Maybe someday put all
that
your
would
veterans
be,
together.
that would be
and
a
talk
great
to them
idea.
and let them know. I want to before you because they're flashing me. See how fast time goes. I'm telling you, it goes fast. Got 5 minutes here. I need to talk about the tuition reimbursement, and this is why, Ruben. A lot of the veterans that are returning back now, listen, let's face it, we're having a tough economy, and not everybody's hiring. Small businesses are hiring, but not hiring as fast as we wish. And it's slowly, yes, we understand the growth, it's growing. We have some growth, but nonetheless, there's still a lot of people unemployed. So a lot of the veterans choose, which is good in one way, choose to go back to school and take advantage of the it's called post 9/11 GI Bill now. But there's also the GI Bill for those old timers like you and I
Right.
that still exist. Tell me a little bit about the $25,000 college education assistance. Please tell me a little bit about that,
Well-
because this is so important to a lot of our viewers right now.
And again, the buildings are set up, there's specific guidelines that you have to meet. And I wish I could tell you I was a subject matter expert because I know our HR department is, but
Okay.
there's specific guidelines. You have to meet certain buildings, certain attendance criteria. There's certain things that you have to meet to get that tuition where basically you would pay for your class up front, we would reimburse you. So if your tuition was $5,000, you would pay for it, turn in your necessary paperwork. I think you have to have a C and above, and then we would reimburse you for your classes, which is a good deal.
bad.
And again, I
and above is not
tell
bad.
people this right now. I was like, compared to a lot of jobs, they're not paying for that for you.
No.
Yeah,
no,
we'll
no.
pay for you to go to
There's
school.
not very many companies that are doing that right
we
now.
want you to go to school. We encourage it.
Well, it's good. Having a well-educated workforce is the way to go nowadays.
And you know what? If you look at it, a lot of these things are $25,000. They're part-time employees. Somebody comes in off the military. They want to take advantage of that. And let's be realistic. Not everybody's going to stay at UPS for the rest of their lives. You're an example of that.
Yep.
You come there, you work there, you get some experience, get your tuition reembbursement. Hey, thank you for your time here.
Sure, why not?
And then you
Sure,
move on.
It happens, and it happens in every company.
Right.
If you had something to say if you had a couple minutes to talk to a veteran, directly to a veteran, talk to him about the reason of what you think that they should be part of the UPS family, what would that be?
I would tell you personally, if you wanted to be here, you're a veteran, and you wanted to come to work at UPS, I think it's a phenomenal company. I think it's a great company to grow with. If you're going to come here, you're going to work hard, you're going to be challenged every day. But at the end of the day, you know that you came here and you gave it your best. A lot of opportunities that we give to our veterans. I would encourage veterans to come work at UPS, apply at upsjobs.com, and reach out and ask your human resource representative, do we have veterans here? That way they can mentor you and give you some advice. Or you can personally look me up and I can tell you myself.
Well, yeah, do you mind if I give your information out?
I don't
or
mind
no?
at all.
So I'm gonna butcher his last name again. Is Ruben, because I don't have my glasses.
Ruben Porce.
Ruben Porce. Again, he is the District Security Director for the Northeast District. And you sure you don't mind me giving you a number?
I don't mind at all.
All right, fair enough. He's at 1045 University Ave in Norwood, Mass. His telephone number is 301-741-2496. And I'm reaching to you all you veterans out there right now. I asked if you're really interested. I worked for the company. Believe me, the only reason I left is because I was an entrepreneur and I opened up my own business. I think if not, I think I'd be working at UPS right now because it was a good company to be really working for. So with that said, call them up. Talk to him if you can't talk to somebody else and get the answers from somebody else. Call him directly. He's an Army guy, especially you Army guys. Make sure you give him a call. I don't know about the Marine Corps. I don't know if he'll take your calls, but I'm just kidding. He'll take your calls, but nonetheless, do that. Ruben, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for
gracing us with your presence.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing, and again, thank you for your service to this country.
Appreciate it.
I greatly
You too.
appreciate it, pal.
Thank you.